you need to have these shoes to run in, you need to wear this watch, you need to get this sports bra, you need to get these shorts, you need to have these leggings, you can't have that, you can't have this, you need to buy these supplements, you need to have these recovery shoes. There is so much information when it comes to running and running gear, what you should have, what you shouldn't have, what works best, what you need, what you don't need. But I'm going to try and simplify that for you and narrow down my running essentials, which I have collected over this last year of my running journey. So for reference, I started running around this time last year. I've ran a half marathon since then, and I've got another half marathon coming up, and this is everything which I have used along my journey and I found actually helpful. Obviously, none of this is essential, bar a few things which are essential in my opinion. But these are just some of my favourite things which I have collected over the last year of my running journey. Now I'm going to start off with probably the most important thing, which is your running shoes. Now, these are the one thing which are worth the investment, like hands down. If you invest in anything, make sure it is your running shoes. So you don't need a full running shoe rotation, but just make sure you invest in a good pair of running shoes. I did my first half marathon block in my Saucony Hurricane 24s. As you can tell, these are very well loved and very well worn, and these are probably one of my favorite shoes I have ran in. But just make sure the shoes that you get are suited for you. My top recommendation would be to get your gait tested. So just search on Google running stores near me, and most of them will have gait testing availability. So you just go there, you'll run on a treadmill, and they'll just check for what shoe you need, because your feet will either roll in or roll out, or you'll be a neutral foot. And if you're running in the wrong shoes, it's going to make all the difference for your runs. I know when I first started running about 5 years ago now, I was just running in the wrong shoe. I always had knee pain, hip pain, shin splints. I was seeing physio for it because it was just unbearable when I was running and it wasn't getting better. And looking back, the reason for that was literally just my shoes. I was running in a shoe which wasn't suited for me. I need a stability shoe, so I need that ankle support and I need a lot of cushioning for my runs, because otherwise I get shin splints, I get knee pain, and it's not enjoyable and it just makes me want to quit. So the shoes I have right now are the Saucony Hurricane 24s, and then a more recent purchase was these Puma Forever Run Nitro 2s, and these are just my everyday running shoes. So these are just for my easy miles, my long runs. I just use these. I've only recently just invested in a pair of speed shoes, so you don't need a full shoe rotation. I wore my Hurricanes for all of my half marathon block, and I only just recently got a second pair of easy run shoes just because those are getting a little bit crusty and dusty. And then I've only recently just invested in a pair of speed shoes. So you don't need a full rotation, but you do need a pair of shoes which is comfortable and fits your feet properly. And also just be aware that your feet swell when you run, especially if you're running long distances. So maybe size up half a size or a full size, just depending on the shoe itself. And sticking with the topic of footwear, you want to make sure you invest in a good pair of socks. So I wear the Danish endurance socks. Honestly, I've not tried any other blister proof sock because I found these and I find I love them, but socks will make all the difference. So I was running in just regular training socks when I first started running, and I would get blisters constantly, and then I switched to a blister-free sock, and these have changed the game for me. Honestly, they are more expensive than your regular everyday sock, but for me it's definitely worth it because it stops having the blisters and any pain which comes from that. And we're just going to move up the body to your bottoms. So I'm not a girl who runs in leggings, so I've not really got any recommendations for leggings, and truthfully I've not found a pair of running shorts which I absolutely am obsessed with, but I do have a few favourites from my current wardrobe. And a new recent find is the Honor Active Unified Move shorts. These have pockets in the side, and for me they are just the perfect length for my shorts. They're not too long and they just sit nicely on me. I've not done any long distances in these. I think the furthest I've ran is 7 kilometers, so I don't know how they're going to be for longer distances, but for me I don't find they ride up. I find they sit comfortably, and the pockets fit my phone in, they fit gels in, they fit everything I need to fit in them. I don't put water in my pockets. I prefer to have a vest for that, but these fit everything I need in. They are comfortable. They don't sit too tightly around my midsection, because I find if a short is too compressive around my stomach, I get uncomfortable. So these I am enjoying at the moment. but these are a recent purchase. Sticking with Honor Active, I have the Air Move 3-inch shorts, and I have these in a couple of colours. So I have these in this green, I have them in red, and I have them in burgundy, just because I really do like them. They are nice and lightweight, they are flowy, they sit nice and comfortably, and I actually ran my half marathon in these shorts. I had no issues, but what I will say is they don't have any pockets in them, and I do like a short with a pocket, and these don't have that. For my longer runs, I do find it okay because I do tend to wear a vest on my longer run, so I can put my water and my phone in there, but I just would like these if they had a pocket in them, which is why they are not my favourite ever short, but I do really like them. And another new short for me, which I'm actually really loving at the moment, are the LSKD ones. I don't know the name of these, so I will find it and link it somewhere down below, but I like these mostly just for the design of them. They are like super lightweight and flowy. They literally feel like there's nothing on your body when you're wearing them. But again, there's no pockets. There's a little pocket back here for a key, but there's no pocket for a phone or gels or anything like that, which again is a downside for me, but I do like it for the design. And I got these just because running for me is better when I'm in a cute fit, and these shorts are really cute. So shorts, LSKD, and then finally my budget friendly short, because those ones are a little bit more on the pricier side, but my favourite sort of cheaper short is the H&M Move. Honestly, it's slept on. These have pockets in the side, so they'll fit your phone, they'll fit gels. They are a nice length. They come in a couple of colours, and honestly, I've not really got any complaints with these. Maybe they are a tiny bit too long for me personally, but as a short, and for the price point, these are a really good purchase. So if you're getting into running, you just want sort of like a more affordable short, definitely look at the H&M Move collection. Next up, we're going to talk through my favourite sports bras, and I don't have a lot of sports bras which I wear. I literally rotate through two. I think my favourite sports bra is the Honor Active Zip Up Racer Back bra. This is a more of a medium to high support sports bra for me. I am a 32C for reference, so I'm not sort of on the small boob side. I do have something, so I do need some support, and I find this gives me the perfect amount of support without feeling like it's too bulky on me and too much coverage. I have this bra in a few colours because I love it that much, and it's got a zip up the front as well, which again, if I get too hot, that can just come up and down. But I also absolutely adore the Honor Active halter neck bras, but I do find this is a lot less support, and I do find I probably need to wear a vest with this or a top over this just to really sort of keep them down. And I do find, maybe TMI, but if I'm coming up to my period and my boobs are a little bit sore, this is not the bra, because it just does not secure them enough, and it really hurts to run. So this is great if you are smaller chested or you have something laid on top. But yeah, I love this bra. I pretty much wore it for the majority of my runs last year for my half marathon. I have it in so many colours, and yeah, it's my favourite bra for gym and for running. And then the last on the sort of apparel side of things and the clothing is probably one of the most expensive purchases, and that is a running vest. And this is not an essential purchase, especially if you are just getting into running. So you do not need to be buying a running vest that's like £100 if you're just getting into running and you're just starting off on sort of shorter runs. This is mainly here for longer distances that I run when I need some water with me on my runs, so I can fit. You get 2 water bottles in here, so you can have one there, and it fits your keys, it fits your phone, it fits my gels, it fits pretty much everything you want it to fit in. And this is what I wore for my half marathon last year, and it's what I wear for all my long runs, but I have worn this on short runs as well, so it's not just for long distances only. If you want to wear a vest when you run, go for it, be my guest. Like, there's nothing wrong with wearing a vest. This is a more expensive purchase and it is an investment, but if you are running long distances, then vests are super helpful. But then if you don't want a vest, then you can look to get a running belt. This is the Lululemon one. It's not my favourite, I won't lie. It is the only running belt I have, but I just find the pocket, it fits my phone and it fits some gels, but it's not going to fit a water in there. And if I want my phone whilst I'm on a run, I do find it a little bit difficult to get it in and out quite smoothly, because once it's in place on the back of my body, it's then an effort to have to sort of pull it around, take your phone out and then readjust. And I do find there's a little bit of bounce in this, but if you're just starting out and you just want something to carry your phone and maybe a gel or a key, a running belt is probably a cheaper alternative compared to a vest. Next up, I just want to talk through a little bit of running gear and tech accessories. Obviously, these are not essential things. You don't need to be splurging on watches or headphones or anything like that, or training apps. But if I was to recommend my favourites and things which I use pretty much every single run, it's gonna be my Shocks open air headphones. These go over your ear, so they're not fully stuck in your ear, so you can still hear your surroundings. Now you can run in whatever headphones you have, but I just find these personally, these are my favourite because I don't like having things over my ear or in my ear whilst I run, because I find I get too hot and overstimulated. I don't know about you, but that's just me. So I find these perfect. These are not too expensive for the wear I've got out of them. I wear them pretty much in every single run I do. And yeah, it's just super helpful. And so for a safety side of things, you can hear your surroundings, you can hear cars, you can hear other people, you can hear bikes, you can just hear everything which is going on while still being able to hear your music. Now, next up is going to be watches. This is probably going to be personal preference for whether you like a Samsung, a Garmin or an Apple, but for me personally, I am a Garmin through and through. I just find it super helpful for tracking my runs, especially since I am training for a half marathon. I just find it super helpful to track my paces on this and to make sure I am hitting my targets which I have set for my runs, and it just allows me to track my progress. And honestly, it's my favourite thing. I love my Garmin. I would be lost without my Garmin, but it's definitely not an essential thing. I will say, if you are buying a watch and like a Garmin, look on secondhand sites, look on Vinted, look on eBay. I got mine on Vinted for a fraction of the price and it works perfectly. So if you're looking to get a new watch and you don't want to splurge the full price, definitely look on your secondhand site. And finally, on the tech side of things, is just your training apps. So there are two apps which I use. I use Runna and I use Strava. I do pay for premium on both of those, but I would say Strava, you don't really need to pay for the premium. I just got it in a bundle with Runna. So Runna I love for my half marathon block. So I find it super helpful for programming and it syncs so well with my watch. So I use Runna. I love Runna. I've used it for my last half marathon block. I'm using it for this half marathon block. But I will say, if you are just getting into running and you are getting into your first 5k, you want to try it out, you can get Runna and do a free version for your first 5k and then see how you like it. If you want to then invest in the paid version, I do have a 2 weeks free code for Runna, which I will link in the bio below in case you do want to sort of try it out. But again, you can just use the free version. But yeah, I love Runna, I love Strava. That is pretty much really the only tech things which I use currently. Obviously, you've got recovery items which can rack up to be super expensive, and they are definitely not an essential item. You do not need to be spending £1,000 on some compression pants or anything like that, or Theraguns. Just your basics. As long as you are taking care of yourself, you're resting, you're recovering, you are eating well, you are stretching, you are foam rolling, things like that, they'll be good enough to get you through. You don't need to be investing in like £1,000 worth of kit. If you need like an extra bit of recovery, book yourself into a sports massage or something like that. You don't need to be investing in super high-tech recovery equipment, especially if you're just starting out. As long as you're nailing the basics when it comes to like your protein, your nutrition, your sleep, your stretches and things like that, you'll be more than okay whilst you're just starting out running. And segueing over to the nutrition side of things, there's just a few things. So first up is energy gels. There is hundreds of these in the market, like literally hundreds of these in the market. My favorites are the Pure Sport ones. Also recently just got into the SAP energy gels. So both of these I find are comfortable on my stomach. So definitely if you are getting into gels, make sure you test them out first, because there's some gels which just don't sit well on my stomach if I have too many. So I know I tried a few last year in my half marathon block which just did not sit well. One was fine, but if I was going on a long run where I needed more than one, it then gave me stomach pain. It made me feel a bit sick. So just make sure you're testing them out. SAP are really good because these are literally just maple syrup. So these really shouldn't be any discomfort on your stomach. They shouldn't give you any sort of digestion issues with the SAP ones. And I also find the Pure Sport ones are really clean and they don't upset my stomach. So try them out, but these are just my favourites. And then finally, again, this is not an essential, but electrolytes, especially if you're running long distances, especially if it's hot in the summer, which it is right now. These are just going to help to replenish your sweat, which you lose during your runs. It's going to help to hydrate you and help to reduce any cramping which you may get during your runs. Pure Sport are definitely one of my favourite brands for these. I have used Pure Sport pretty much consistently since the start of the year. These are probably my favourites, but you can get other brands obviously available. So yeah, that is pretty much everything which I've been using throughout my running journey, everything which I've loved this last year and I found helpful for my running journey. Obviously not everything here is essential, bar again running shoes. If you're going to get one thing with this video, make sure you invest in some running shoes because that'll just make or break your running journey. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, I would be super appreciative if you just give me a little like down below and drop me a subscribe, and I will see you next time.